Hello, everybody, and we are live. Welcome into another edition of the Computer America Show. And we've got Josh Boykin here for both hours. He's our gamer computer
1 minute until showtime.
correspondent, and he's just joining us. Hey, Josh, are you there? Can you hear us? All right, well, he'll be joining us momentarily. So anyway, the topic today, of course, is CES. Probably will be for quite some time. I know Sandy Berger is going to be with us here tomorrow. She's also going to be talking about the things that she saw at the Consumer Electronics Show. Everybody's back. And Josh, hey, hi, how are you? Can you hear us? No, I can't hear you. Nope, cannot hear you at all. Nope. Can you hear it? Can we hear you? Can you? All right. Anyhow, we're getting ready to go live.
Your show will go live in 5
No.
seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live, it's America's longest-running national radio talk show on computers, Computer America. Hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. Look for Craig's weekly column in your favorite newspaper. This show is being beamed nationwide. ComputerAmerica.com. Keep it here for technology news, computer product, guest interviews, and your phone calls. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome into the Computer America Show. It's the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. Computer America is heard around the world and coast to coast. And I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
And Ben is back from the Consumer Electronics Show. Boy, you look no worse than wear.
Yeah, I mean, getting your first good night of sleep in a week is very refreshing.
Sleep, who was it said, after you die, you can get all the sleep that you want. So I don't know.
I'm sure the same psycho who said that you can sleep when you're dead. No, sleep is very important for all ages. Please don't put that off because death will come sooner than a good night's sleep.
Oh, that's right. Well, listen, we're glad to have you back, and as I mentioned to our listeners, we are going to be talking about CES for the weeks and maybe months to come because so much is relevant to that. And I know you came back with a stack of business cards, literally that thick, and of guests we're going to be appearing on the show as a direct result of your being out at
not just guests. A lot of them will be guests, and I tried to get a nice assortment of high tech and basic consumer electronics that I think a lot of people will enjoy. But also, a lot of them were more interested in reviews and articles. So that will be another big part of what we're doing with our CES coverage is getting products for review and trying to do more written content as part of the show.
Well, that's all good stuff. We're just having some technical issues here. So while you were talking, I was checking on them. Good to see
that the show has almost not collapsed on itself while I was gone. That's good to hear.
Yeah, and right. Of course, I borrowed your green screen while you were away. Now you have.
I saw, and you didn't use it. I was so sad.
Yeah,
I thought you were actually going to get high tech, and you just kind of.
I was going
to use it as a sheet.
I was going to, but I didn't get to that point.
You were going to, but then you didn't. So
when we have a little bit more time, I'll work on doing that. Although when I'm back at the Carolina office,
your Carolina office is quite stunning.
Yeah. So that I'll probably, but right now you're just seeing the back, which is not the most impressive thing out there. However, we are bringing the show to you, and we welcome all of you to the Computer America Show. If you have a comment or a question for us, we'd love to hear from you. 347-884-8881 will get you on to get you through. That's 347-884-8881 is the number to call. You can also go to any page at computeramerica.com. In the upper right-hand corner, you'll see it says Submit a Question. Just click that link. And it'll take you to our question submission page. You type in your question, hit the submit button, and Ben and I will see your question. We'll deal with it at that moment. It's just that simple. Also, you can watch the Computer America show. Most of you know now that we not only are we a radio talk show, but we broadcast a live video stream of the talk show. You can see myself, you can see Ben, you can see our guest today. Many times you can. Ben also has the amazing technology to display websites, movies, videos in the background, so you can see everything that we're talking about as well. And we're certainly going to do that today on the program. So that's pretty much everything that we do here on the show. By the way, to see the live video stream, any page at computeramerica.com, just go on the pull-down menu. You'll see it says Show Lounge. Just click that, and you will be join the show already in progress right up to the point where we're live. If you're doing that between Monday through Friday between 3 and 5 p.m. Eastern Time when we broadcast live. If not, it'll just take you to an archive of the show, and then you can watch other past shows as well, which we encourage you to do. Okay, I think let's bring Josh in onto the program. And
well, before even that, this is a little bit off topic, but I'm sure that a lot of our listeners do wear glasses. So just want to get this out of the way that I was actually able to get new glasses recently, and you say, well, Ben, that's good for you, but why do you care? I say that because the new anti-reflective coating that they have out there, I was able to get it on my glasses, and it's, you can watch the video feed and see how well it is. But for anyone out there who may be getting new glasses soon, or for any other reason, I highly recommend it just for your everyday pair, because using technology, you get this horrible glare that I guess I was living with it every day, so I really didn't notice.
Yeah.
But when you try glasses that have anti-reflective coating, it makes looking at these screens much less headache-inducing. And I've been noticing that for ever since I got these glasses.
Well, just as you've drawn my attention to it, yes, you're right. I used to be able to see your monitor in your lenses, and you hit these white.
And don't get me wrong, you still see some, but it's not nearly as bad as it used to be, and it's much easier on your eyes, just in general.
I'm looking at you right now, and quite frankly, I don't even see any.
Oh, I see it. Oh, definitely.
Well, if you hit your leg and do that, but for the most part, when you're just normally reading it, I see your eyes. You can't even see the lenses really. So
there's a little bit, but just Ben's friendly advice: if you do wear glasses, spring for the coating. It's helped me immensely.
All right, will do. Okay, well, let's get Josh onto the program. It is our Gamer Tuesday show today with Computer America, and we have Josh Boykin here. He is a correspondent to the Computer America show. He actually is a lifelong gamer and has been a gaming journalist for over 6 years, published in multiple forms and for multiple sites. He strives to make the world of gaming fun and exciting for the hardcore and the new alike. He currently is an editor-at-large for popzera.com and a senior editor for gotgame.com. Josh, welcome into Computer America. How are you?
Hey, I'm not doing too badly. How are you?
Well, we can't hear you. You're breaking up badly.
That is disappointing.
Yes. This is why we like our guests to get here like 15 minutes before so we can correct it. Rather than
I was actually, I was on my way 15 minutes early, and then Hangouts crashed, which wasn't thrilling, but...
Well, what I might ask you to do is either if you can't fix that, maybe just drop off of Hangouts and come back on. Sometimes that will fix it. We can at least try that.
Sure, I'll give that a shot.
So while you do that, I'm going to talk to Ben. So Ben,
I'm sorry you have to do that, Craig. That's awful.
However, so you were out at the CES, and of course it was your first time out in Vegas. Just overall impression of everything. I know
Vegas or CES.
Well, let's start off with
Well, folks, for anyone out there who does not know, CES wrapped up, but I believe the official head count for CES this year was 180,000 attendees.
Wow.
Flew into Vegas at some point and attended the CES convention, and the number is probably a little bit higher because of people who honestly didn't really get to go, or were just there as tertiary members.
Mm-hmm.
But seeing Vegas swamped with people. With the Consumer Electronics Show is the largest convention that Vegas actually hosts. So if there was ever time to go, it would not be early January if you're looking to go on vacation, because everything is booked, everything is packed. It was the first time I've ever seen what do you call it? Uber and Lyft. They were at 5 times the current rate if you ever needed a ride in the afternoon. Surge pricing, because there was so much demand for these ride sharing apps that you were getting charged 5 times the normal amount. So a $10 ride would, of course, be $50 just to get just a couple miles down the road. It was
that's not good.
crazy.
All right, so your mic get closer to your mouth there rather than up in the air so we can hear
Over
it.
here?
Yeah, your headset mic. Bring it down to your mouth.
It's not on the headset mic.
Oh, it's not on the headset mic. Okay, all
Yeah,
right.
I mean, I can move it, but it's not. Yeah,
No,
it's down here.
All right, well, you sound a heck of a lot better. We certainly can hear you. You sound a little hollow, though. I'm not sure what that is. Like you're picking up some background. Maybe you have a setting on it you can fix.
Maybe it's the hollowness of my heart. The fatigue that I'm feeling post CES.
It could be.
Oh, you're feeling that too. That's good. I was worrying I was just being a pansy. That's nice.
I mean, it could be 6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
Sound better now. You sound a lot better now. Good. So I don't know if you adjust anything, but you sound good. Anyhow, Ben was just talking about his overall experience with CES. 100 and how many? 80 some odd thousand people attending this year. Very, very, I guess, crowded is a good word for it. Were you able to, kind of see the people that you wanted to see, Ben? Did you what? Just give us.
Again, this is my first time, so of course, looking back on it, I did everything wrong. But the people that were the people that are going to make the headlines for the next couple weeks, they were all crowded around in Center Hall. There was North, South, Center Hall in the Las Vegas Convention Center, and then there was like the Sands Venetian, and then there were like 2 other places that I didn't even go to. But the Center Hall had all of your big names. Kind of, I believe Intel was like, the first one when you walked in. There was like Samsung and just the heavy hitters. I unfortunately didn't go to that go at least the first couple days. And by the time I did get there around the last day, fun fact, a lot of the people behind the scenes fly out. Like they don't want to deal with the traffic or something, or it's kind of like the baseball players who leave before the end of the game to beat the traffic. Same deal. So the people I really wanted to talk to, unfortunately, were not there. But that doesn't mean I didn't talk to 500 people. So.
Yeah, who would have thought folks don't want to work on Saturdays, right?
Right. But it was a convention. I thought everyone could muster up the last little bit of oomph to really make it through the end of the show. But the conference really did kind of wrap up around Friday night.
Well, okay. So you got what you
Greg,
wanted.
you seem distracted.
I thought you would watch me. I was on the phone when you were talking.
Neat.
Technical issues, so I'm counting on you to fill in. Josh, why don't you continue while I do this and tell us a little bit about what you saw at CES and some of the things that you went there from a gamer perspective, right?
Sure thing. So CES is kind of an interesting show for me. Like on one hand, I do cover a lot of gaming-centric content. So we're looking at any possible new games that are debuted. Most folks decide that they're going to hold off their game announces for either E3 or PAX, something like that. But it really is a good opportunity for a lot of gaming-based hardware companies to sort of make waves and make some of their announcements. So I was able to cover some of that, and then I also focus a lot on sort of the consumer mid-grade, high-grade audio. Herman Exum, who also writes for PopZara, does more of the like high-end. I think he saw a company that sold a $5,000 pair of headphones, which I lose my headphones way too often to invest $5,000 in a pair of headphones.
Or
actually.
I've hit that awful period where the dogs are teething or whatever, and the dogs they get a hold of like 7 pairs of Logitech headsets in a row. I don't prefer that if that happens, but it does. And at least with the courtesy of Logitech, you can go out and spend $35 for a really nice headset, and you go on with your life. But I feel like if the dog's ever got a hold of a $5,000 pair of headsets, replacing the dog might be easier than
Yeah,
replacing those things.
replacing the dog might be a necessity if they chew through
Right.
headphones.
It's
That
like
said,
going.
if I leave my $5,000 pair of headphones anywhere near where a dog could get involved, there's a part of responsibility I think I'd have to take into
All right,
account.
all right, all right.
Like we're
That's
talking about an individual security system specifically meant for the protection of this $5,000 pair of headphones. I would hook up like Internet of Things. I would like IoT motion sensors. They're like, I mean, I want Mission Impossible laser system on the way into and out of holding the headphones. Like, this is not a
just for some reason a giant metal case, and it has that the dry ice fog, and like it rises out of the case. Yeah.
like I should have to wear like the Professor X headset thing like comes down onto my head so that the brain waves authorize somebody to even be able to obtain the $5,000 pair of headphones. That's
And if you're not authorized, these little metal spikes come shooting out.
right.
But then you ruin your headsets because then they get all brain matter.
No, the headset doesn't come down. Like it would just be the safety headset. There's a safety headset before you get to the headphones.
I
It's
see.
like
I see.
it'd be like in the what is it? Temple of Doom? Is it Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom when you go
Yeah.
through and there's like the chalices, and if you get the wrong chalice, then you like melt or something like that.
Oh, yes, sure.
That's what we should do is create a number of other look-alike $5,000 pairs of headsets so that you can only get the one true headset without like bursting into flames.
Because
And by the way, we've been talking about it, but if you really do want to go see what these things look like, because we're not joking, these things are $5,000 and they're meant to serve a purpose. They Audizy, I believe, is what Herman had mentioned that they prefer their name to be called. But AUDEZE, they were out at CES. They're showing off their stuff. I actually got to try a pair of the $5,000 ones on. Obviously, I had to put down a credit card just to touch them, but they were, by and far the best headset I've ever worn. But it at some point it's kind of like climbing into a Lamborghini or a Ferrari or something like that. It's like it's the high-end consumer market, so you're like, oh, this is of course the best I've ever had. But at some point you gotta say, but the price. I mean, you get what you pay for in this case. Yeah.
they say why, other than the looks and everything, why it was so expensive? Did they go into any details? Was it the materials that they're using, or is it what makes it so expensive?
Well, the materials that they use are, of course, top shelf everything. I mean, I actually mentioned where they source their wood from, and a lot of companies are very careful to say, oh, we do it locally, we restain this, we do this, we get the wood pulp from this. Like they're very eco-conscious whenever they mention the source of their materials. And Adizi was like, nope, this is straight from the rare Amazonian cherry chestnut tree, and it's the real deal, baby. Like their materials are of course all top class. I'm sure they do it in a respectful way. They aren't clearing Amazon rainforest to make these headphones, but yeah. So the headphone materials are of course great. But the reason they're $5,000 is because they're designed to replicate a studio sound engineer experience, where you've seen anything on television or movies where it's the giant soundproof room where singers and artists record their sounds, and then the audio engineer on the other side of the glass with all the knobs and the buttons and all that kind of thing. Instead of having a full-blown professional studio production room like that, it's for that kind of sound engineer, but on the go, where it will give you the most accurate sound, the bass, the treble, or other keywords Josh has been throwing out that I really don't understand. Like, it's designed to give you the most accurate sound possible, so that you can work on the go in these kinds of situations.
Okay. Well,
It's not just designed to be like, oh, these are rich, and if you are rich, then you need these. No, they're designed for
you
an
know,
actual working purpose.
there are products out there that are designed for just that. If you're rich, you can afford, you have money, we can give you this. But you're saying this actually has a practical application.
They are meant for a profession.
Okay. All right. Well, there it is. Um, so that's of course our Josh. We were talking about these headsets, but you were out there for PopZera, and obviously your mission was to find things that kind of tie into games or entertainment. Am I correct?
Yes, to boldly go where no Pobzarin has gone before.
And by the way, again, I want to thank Nathan Evans, managing editor of PopZara magazine, who co-hosted Computer America with me all last week in Ben's absence. He's a fun guy having there on Friday nights, but he's also terrific co-hosting with me throughout the week. Again, I want to thank him for that. So, some of the what did you find? I know normally you think, oh, E3 for gaming, but CES I'm sure must have had many things as well.
Well, the interesting thing about CES is that it provides a space where the players of E3 are fairly established. You're talking about kind of higher ups on the gaming food chain. You've got some smaller spaces like Indiecade and other areas where folks can kind of make their way in. But I mean, it's very much video game centric. Whereas CES are really good opportunities for folks who want to provide gaming experiences with sort of alternative places than the screen or the controller to make their way in. There was a company called MakerBlocks, which was really neat. They basically provided what I would call the equivalent of a those old science kits, right? You'd have they give you the big board with all the springs on it, and you connect a bunch of
I think
wire.
Craig actually had one of those.
Oh, I have one of those too. Do you know what I'm talking about, Craig?
No.
The chemistry kit where they give you all the little
Oh,
chemicals.
Gilbert, the Gilbert chemistry set when I was a kid. You mean?
Well, I mean, like you'd have the chemistry sets where they'd say like, hey, combine this package of baking soda with whatever, and then it changes colors.
Right.
But then they also have like these electronics kits where they basically give you what looked like a big circuit board, and they give it to you as a kit with a bunch of wires, and maybe there'd be a light bulb that you'd screw in one place, or
I remember that
to a speaker.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So MakerBlocks is basically kind of think of it as a modern day equivalent, right? So you have an activity book that you go through on the iPad, and it would this one, for instance, told the story of this little girl who's helping her next door neighbor, Officer Justice, hook up his lights to his cop car so that he can go to work. And so what it comes with are a number of magnetic blocks, and each of those magnetic blocks has some sort of like electronics focus. So there's one that functions as a resistor. There's another one that functions as a capacitor. Other ones have lights that are attached to them. And so you're in the physical world pushing these different magnetic blocks together to put together the circuits that interact with the game on screen.
Now, let me ask you this, because this sends up a flag. As you know, but most of us are aware of, things have changed enormously in the world of electronics and technology. When I had something like this, we had discrete components, as you mentioned, capacitors, resistors, transistors, and you would literally build a circuit with these and understood how the discrete, because that's what they call discrete components. That's the term for them.
Right.
Would work. But today, you don't really see that much anymore. If anything, you might see a discrete thing on one of the legs of an integrated circuit chip, maybe, and because there's an adjustment has to be made for something. But for the most part, it's all solid-state electronics. So, how are they dealing with with integrated circuits and chips today? Because you don't really use discrete electronics anymore today.
Right. Well, I think part of the advantage to a product like MakerBlocks, number one, is it's made for it's a kid's toy, so you're looking at you're looking at a pretty introductory age group. Like the activity book looks similar to what you would hand a kid in a doctor's office.
All right.
But to give you I think what it does is it prepares kids to have kind of a conceptual understanding of these are the functional pieces that would go into the technology that makes an integrated circuit work. So, I mean, when I think about when I was even in elementary school, the only time that I was exposed to anything that had to do with the composition of electronics was when my parents put me in a class that was at the local community college. And that was the only way that I really learned, like, okay, so you're using technology all the time. This is how the physical pieces of it work together. Now, I know that there are plans for MakerBlocks to or to produce a number of other modules that would allow kids to experiment with other types of science, with math, things of that nature. But I do think it's a nice base understanding of these are the component pieces that go together to make pieces of electronics
Right,
work.
and we're watching the video on Ben's. If you're watching Ben's demonstration, the website here, and we're actually seeing a video of how they work and how they interconnect. And it's interesting. On the top of the block, you see what it is, if it's a gate or if it's a resistor or a
or switch some, and like the images that are on the blocks, like they don't dumb it down. It's like, oh, the star, it means resistor, and the circle means blah blah blah. Like they're the actual schematic, the actual schematic representation of these pieces,
Right.
and kids will just kind of associate the picture with what it is. Like it's actual knowledge. You're not kind of dumbing it down too far.
Yeah,
no.
absolutely. And I do think that it's the kind of tool that makes CES exciting to pay attention to. Like, yes, you have your central hall heavy hitters who are going to do things like, here's a refrigerator with a 21-inch LCD screen in it, which Samsung actually did debut, and it seemed interesting. But what really intrigues me, especially about going to CES from a gaming angle, is looking at the different ways that kind of small entrepreneurs or companies are seeing the different problems or issues that are presented in modern tech world, and then finding new ways to tackle them. So MakerBlocks was a really interesting piece of tech to take a look at. There was also another, kind of in a similar, this is a gaming solution experience. There was a company called A-Champs that is doing what they call the first off-screen game console, which is basically a series of taggable sensors. So they call them ROXS, ROXS. And what they basically allow users to do, they're maybe 6 inches by 6 inches, super durable touch sensors that either can light up red or blue. And there's a basic, they all integrate into a central hub. So they allow kids to, you could set them up in the yard and then run a sort of relay race that they call Crazy Chicken. So you go and tag the light up, whichever one is lighting up as fast as possible, then run to the next one. They have straps that allow you to, hook them onto each other. So maybe you can play some sort of what they call zombie tag, where you get tagged and then your sensor makes a little zombie noise, and you try to be the last one standing. So I mean, what they're doing is basically they're saying, okay, we want kids to play games, we want kids to use technology, but we don't want them to have to sit in front of a screen to do it. So how do we provide them opportunities to be more mobile, to be more active, and still feel like they're having an entertaining gaming experience? I think that if you went a few years back, we'd have this discussion about, oh, kids are spending too much time around technology, throw them into a forest, take technology away. And now
that was the allure of Boy Scouts for a while. Hey, we're low tech.
Right. And so now I think we're trying to find ways like, okay, we understand the benefits that technology can provide. How can we find ways to get kids active, to get them moving around and enjoying their experience with technology, even though they're outside? So I mean, Ben's showing the video right now of these kids running around and tagging the sensors spread around the lawn. The cool thing about ROXS as well is that it does tie into that central hub, and that central hub can download as they come out new pieces of technology, new programmable games. My hope is that they'll come up with some sort of open source community forum where folks can program their own games, and even though the base set comes with only 3 sensors, it can expand to, I believe, up to 50. So this is an opportunity where you could buy a set of 20 for a classroom and have a bunch of folks playing tag together, doing a relay race, any number of things. So
it's interesting. Here's one perfect example of where technology actually gets kids outside rather than sitting down and playing a video game. They're actually outside exercising.
That was the goal.
Yeah. That's technology doesn't necessarily mean isolation or just becoming a couch potato. I'm sure when they're finished with this, they're pretty much exhausted.
Right. It's I need to go spend time with my iPad because I'm beat.
I'm getting exhausted just watching them.
Right. I feel like there was this time when I think everybody remembers there was a time when you were younger and your default speed is run, and
Yes.
then it just at some point you wake up and you're like, what am I doing? Running is exhausting. And then from that point, like
You,
watching kids play tag at like 5 or 6 years old, you're just like, I don't understand how you're still doing this.
If we could harness that energy, right?
Right.
I guess you've experienced it. It's not unique. I remember to the day really where one day I woke up and because I used to run, and I remember, wow, and, this is
Yeah.
tiring. I remember it making an impression on me because used to be I would run and I would ride my bicycle up and down, hours and hours. I must have done, miles after miles and enjoyed it. And then just one day, it's like somebody flicked a switch. It's the same thing with vision.
Yeah,
One
for
day I was
sure.
looking and all of a sudden things seemed a little fuzzier, but I couldn't read. And it was amazing. It kind of sneaks up on you, and the one day you notice it. That's
Yep.
scary. Yeah. Well, the joys of getting older. All right, we can take a first break and then we'll continue on. This is the Computer America Show. Ben and I are talking to Josh Boykin. He is our gamer correspondent. We're talking about what he saw out at the Consumer Electronics Show. Really cool stuff. 347-884-8881. Get Johnny gets through. We'll be right back with lots more. Oh, a new news tips bulletin review as well. Stay with us.
Sometimes, disaster strikes. Data can be lost due to many different reasons. Accidental reformatting, power spikes, virus attacks. Zero Assumption Recovery provides a suite of highly effective and thorough data recovery software for Windows operating systems. ZA is suitable for home users and small businesses who need a powerful data recovery solution for Windows and Linux file systems.
Go to z-a-recovery.com.
Sometimes, disaster strikes. Data can be lost due to many different reasons. Accidental reformatting, power spikes, virus attacks. Zero Assumption Recovery provides a suite of highly effective and thorough data recovery software for Windows operating systems. ZA is suitable for home users and small businesses who need a powerful data recovery solution for Windows and Linux file systems.
Go to z-a-recovery.com.
Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? Not so great, huh? It's a fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they're available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing calendar. Nothing could be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com.
Radio. Oh, cool. I thought it was just haunted. Hi, it's Marty Winston with the News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America. This time, it's bedphones. Bedphones are purpose-built headphones for wearing to bed, but not just. They're as light as earbuds, but nothing enters your ear canals, so there's nothing to torque it when you put your head down on the pillow. Instead, a thin disc floats above. You position it by bending an ear hook wire, a very easy deed. The sound quality is extraordinary, perhaps in part because the disc shape allows a larger diaphragm. We detected no shaping or spectrum boosts to color the sound. So bottom line, bedphones offer a comfy way to enjoy really good sound, very good sound quality, whenever you want it, even at bedtime. Marty Winston with the News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America.
I know that voice. Yeah, that was Marty Winston with the News at Bulletin Review, and he was actually one of the gentlemen that joined us out at CES, out at Showstoppers. And if you were watching last night's show, we actually debuted that, and yeah, he was a great guest to have on.
Yes, he was. He's always he's got a good sense of humor, funny guy.
Very
Exactly.
much so. So, welcome back to the Computer America Show. We are, just in the beginning of our CES coverage, and Josh is kind enough to keep this centered around video games because this is a Gamer Tuesday. And these are new toys and gadgets and things like that are for gamers. But of course, we also are going to fit in some of the other stuff that Josh was able to catch at CES because unfortunately, Josh does not join us for an average show. So I think there's no harm in introducing some stuff that maybe is not gamer centric. But we just finished talking about rocks. It's these little nodes that can be used in many, many different ways. No longer do you have to trust in the innate honesty of children when playing tag. Strap one of these to the kid, and you will know at that point if the kid was tagged or not, because you touch it and it will, let up beep whatever you have it programmed to do.
Yeah.
Well, that's the inherent issue. Kids are never trustworthy, and so we need a technological solution to force them to admit. Everybody's been there. Like, well, I didn't get tagged because it's freeze tag, and you weren't frozen, and I froze Jimmy, and
Right.
Jimmy said, I was like, no, you don't get to make it up. The sensor says you're tagged. Game over.
Yeah.
Right.
You see, I used to play Red Light. I don't know if you know when you were a kid. Red light, go stop.
Red light, green light.
Yeah, green light. That's one of the games I would play when I was a kid, and one of the classics, I guess. And yeah, there's no room for margin for error. You tell the kid the printout. Look, you say you didn't do that.
Right. You can imagine him, pulling out the iPhone app that says, wait a second, it says right here, you were tagged 5.42 seconds ago.
Yes, exactly.
According to my chest gyroscope, I did not move again after you said this point.
Right.
So now we can document the accuracy.
But that was a theme, as Josh has pointed out before. A theme of CES was this is how you normally do things, and then of course, with CES, this is how you do things with technology or the internet. This is how you do, this is how you do thing A differently because of technology.
I mean, and we see it everywhere. Before technology, we had fireplaces. Now we have streaming videos of fireplaces on our
4K on Netflix.
In 4K and Netflix, and they really do have them. They have waterfalls, they have fireplaces, anything imaginable. You can do it in 5.1 surround sound. So it sounds like a real fireplace. I think we're slowly diverging from the way we used to do things now with the technology bent. I mean, look, they're putting technology everywhere, even on crock pots. Come on, I mean, the way they're Internet of Things, it's just affecting everything that we do.
Well, I wasn't joking when I was talking about, Samsung debuted a new refrigerator, and the refrigerator had a 21-inch LCD screen on it, and so they were like, you can upload messages directly from your Samsung Galaxy smartphone. You could open up an app, and it would let you look inside your refrigerator so that you could figure out if you had, needed to buy more milk, things like that.
Now,
I was like, now I feel like there was this technology, a magnet, where it's like if you have a message, oh, it's a magnet, you could, stick something to the refrigerator and it would tell you if you have a shopping list.
Yeah, a magnet. But, well, let me ask you this about that Samsung refrigerator, because my understanding is one of the cool things with it is that you could look inside your refrigerator without opening the door. I mean, the camera on the inside would be reflected on the screen. It was almost like the door turned to kind of a translucent front, so you could see inside the refrigerator. So.
No, not really. Like there's a 21-inch LCD panel, and like that would turn, like the cameras would turn on, and then the display would go onto the panel.
Right.
It's not some kind of weird futuristic press a button and the whole door just disappears.
No, not the whole door. You see on the monitor. I didn't mean the whole door. You would see on the monitor.
It's kind of like turning on a webcam, and then you see what's inside your refrigerator.
Right, and supposedly that's energy saving because you don't have to open the door and let the cold air out. Of course, you are spending energy to run the webcam, so I think maybe it's a wash.
I mean, personally, I enjoy the cool, refreshing air that comes out of the refrigerator as it tickles my toes. That's a little joy in life. Although I will say one thing is that one of the fun things about CES in Vegas is that if you're attending, you can be almost guaranteed that anyone there has heard about it, has heard about the new technology, and maybe even attending there as someone in some capacity. And so, a lot of the fun meetings I had were with people who were sitting in buses, on the tram, just waiting in line for food, something like that. It was a lot of fun to meet so many different people in so many different places. I actually met a group of ladies in the tram that goes between the hotels, and I don't know if this is stereotypical or not, but one of them brought it up to me, so I was happy to answer. And it was a lady's birthday. There were 6 of them, and one of them said, "Did you see Samsung's display of the smart fridge?" And I was like, "Yes, I did." And they all thought it was so cool, and then one of them asked, or one of them mentioned the feature that we're talking about, where you can, from your smartphone or tablet or even the screen, you can see what's inside the fridge. And I told them I didn't like it. I thought it was a pretty stupid idea, honestly. And they all kind of turned their head and scratched their head, and they were like, "Well, why do you think that?" And Josh, Craig, I don't know how you two pack a fridge, but do you pack everything up one row deep and labels facing out and everything neat and orderly? Is that how your fridge looks?
No, because when you open the fridge, you have to push the stuff aside to see what's behind there to find the little jar of whatever you might.
Because fridges are not designed to be one row deep. Fridges are designed to have entire shelves full of food that are behind each other, around each other, or turned the wrong way. You can't see everything from one point of view. Sometimes you have to take half a fridge out just to see what you have.
But I mean, they had the ability to change the angle of the camera. I would hope that there would be somebody who used the refrigerator that would say, maybe we should put this at a higher angle so that you can see behind the things that are on the top shelf.
They didn't show that off.
No,
they didn't show that off in the demonstration.
They moved the camera during the press conference.
They did. I don't recall that.
Yeah, they did. I mean,
Okay,
it wouldn't make any sense to have just a static camera, and it's just like, oh, wait a second, I put the Coke here, so now
now you're blocking everything,
and now I can't see anything.
Right. But I still question the limited visibility that you're going to get between these cameras and everything in your fridge.
If you intend to use it as a replacement for opening your refrigerator door, you'll probably be sorely disappointed. But as a supplement, it might not be a bad functionality.
That's fair.
It reminds me of that Saturday Night Live skit that they would just over and over again for the news. She would say this thing, and then he said, "Well, but that's not really is. It's this," and she would go, "Oh, never mind."
That is what just happened.
But anyway, so you like the refrigerator, is what you're saying?
I probably wouldn't have one in my home. It might be due to the lack of refrigerated items I tend to purchase. As much as it may reinforce my bachelorhood, many of my things are dried and kept in cabinets, and usually combined with milk, or a microwave to be prepared. So my refrigerator usage is limited. But I do think that it's kind of like Ben alluded to. The CES really does kind of have this. It had this function or this focus this year of things that you already do that could be done a little differently if you add technology. So I'm not sure how much of the technology really felt like revolutionary or whatnot, but I do think that it's getting to the point where it's easy to see the influence on the consumer that the technology has in CES. Self-driving cars obviously are a big thing, and I think Ben actually spent some time talking to some folks who do some car automation technology.
I did.
It might not happen it won't happen tomorrow, but you can see tangibly, hey, this is the effect that it could have, and this is the way that I can see this technology kind of already working its way into my life.
And I think that's happening even with the refrigerator you mentioned. I mean, so you don't need it now, but when you get married and you have a family and and more income,
right.
that perspective might change on your behalf, right?
Absolutely, and you keep in mind that. When I was a kid, back in my day, we didn't have cell phones. We yelled down the street. But no, realistically,
we had AIM.
Yeah, we
I would
used
still use
any. I was going to say some of us still use AIM, but anyway, the catch to it is that like now interaction is different. Kids are running around with Galaxy class smartphones when they're on the bus or going to school or whatever. So these different pieces of technology that allow children in the family to interact using devices they're already carrying, and utilizing areas like the refrigerator, which we've used as kind of our central hub for familial communication for decades. Finding a new way to kind of integrate that functionality it's interesting. I think the other thing that you do have to keep in mind with CES is that CES is really a place where you display your proof of concept, right? This is where we say this is the technology that'll revolutionize whatever. It's the world's first X. I mean, if you had a drink of a non-adult beverage, of course, but if you had a drink every time that somebody said this is the world's only blank or the world's first this, you would have a very high glucose because there's just everybody's doing it. The real question is, how is this technology going to make its way into the mainstream in a few years? Is it going to be bought or adopted by another larger company and then thrown into their technology? Is it going to just vanish off into the distance? You don't know, but it's cool to look at.
Yeah, so many things do, and you're right. At CES, so many of the really, really cool stuff that we see, we'll never see the light of day. I mean, it's almost like concept cars. We see some of these. You go to a car show, you see the amazing cars. Oh, I can't wait to get one like that, and you never see them. Although parts of the concept car will make it to consumers, pieces.
Exactly.
They can, so that sometimes that gives a company an ability to blue sky. Put some of that R&D out into the field and see what kind of reactions, and they can cherry pick what they want to actually put in the cars or the products. And I think electronics is the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, to kind of dial it back into a gaming direction, we've seen that the last couple of years with some gaming technology that was debuted at CES. Mad Catz, I can't remember if it was last year or the year before, showed off their Lynx controller, I believe, or mouse, Lynx. No, it was a controller, and it was a modular, like, transformable, like I mean, the like Transformers figures where you follow like a 17-step thing to change it from like a truck into a big action figure. It was like that for a controller, so you could use it for a smartphone, you could use it for a computer, you could use it for a console, you could take pieces off, you could turn things around, it could almost cook you breakfast.
Ben,
and
didn't we have Mad Catz on? We interviewed him and he showed one of these transformable mice. That we
yesterday on the show and out at Showstoppers, we had Mad Catz on showing that off.
Mm-hmm. It was an insane piece of technology, but it was also super expensive. I think the original Lynx controller was like $300. Don't quote me on it, Ben. If you could check, I think it was $300. But what we saw this year was the Lynx 3, which is borrowed a lot of the form and the concept behind this light modular controller that is made for smartphones, but it took out the kind of super high-tech, high-grade transformable piece of it and made it into basically a small foldable, lightweight controller for gaming on the go. So I think what happens is that they'll take and kind of premiere these technologies at this really high price point and then figure out, okay, well, what do people really, like you said, Craig, what do people get excited about? What things should we really integrate into future models? And then find a way to tie that into something that is more affordable to the consumer at large.
Yeah, exactly. And again, being able to see really cool things like that. So Mad Catz was there. Again, you were covering primarily the gaming aspects. Tomorrow we're going to have Steve Berger on the show with our consumer electronics expert. She's going to talk about more of the non-gaming things. So I'm hoping for you to kind of focus more on some of the cool gaming things that you saw at CES.
Well, again, kind of unfortunately, and don't get me wrong, there was some stuff and gaming controllers and things like that. They were definitely out there, but with E3 out there being a competitor, and if there is a company out there that has gaming equipment, CES is great, and if you can make an appearance, amazing. There's again 180,000 people going to see that in one place, But if you're a gaming company, you're really going to be interested in E3, which is going to be coming up in about 4 or 5 months.
I think you're underestimating the amount of gaming tech that was present at CES, and not even just direct focused, consumer focused gaming hardware, but then also looking at different pieces of technology that either market with an angle towards the way that they benefit gamers, or pieces of technology that can be adapted and taken in to directly influence gaming consumers. 3D audio was a huge portion of kind of the audio focus of CES. This idea that we're used to kind of surround sound. The idea of having that like 7.1 speaker setup that allows for a bunch of different angles of sound, but it's hard to tell exactly where that sound is coming from, particularly if it's above or below you. There were a couple of companies in particular that were talking about 3D audio, and I had one demo specifically that was it was really immersive. There was you're supposed to be basically taking the part of an android or robot that would I'm trying to find, here we go. I was trying to find the card so I could bring up the company, VisiSonics, and they did a demo of what they called Real Space 3D. So the idea is that you have this headset on, and the cool thing about this was that it uses any pair of conventional headphones. So they didn't use a proprietary piece of, headphone technology. They had just sort of a generic stereo headset that they slap this module on, and it allows folks who are programming demos to use the kind of physics, the location in the software of where that particular thing is, to feed a specific type of sound so that you can tell, oh, there's a dinging from a bell, and that bell is above me and to the right.
Yeah.
Oh, there's somebody coming up behind me and to the left. So 3D audio technology, even though it's not specifically focused to gamers, because you could use it in any sort of virtual reality situation, you can use it to change the way that you create music. You can change it, use it to simulate being in a boardroom, or change the way you do audio dramas. There are any number of ways that you can look at a lot of the technology from CES and apply it to gaming, even if it's not a specific gaming release. And that's where companies decide that CES is an important place to be as opposed to E3.
It's interesting the science behind that, because it's obviously we see in 3D because we have two eyes and it combines. We know how that works. And audio is the same way. We just have two ears, but we know a direction because it hits the left ear first and then to the right ear. So you move to the left. That's how you tell direction, and that's what they're doing with that little box. They get the idea and they transcribe that to the right way. So you hear it in one ear first and then the other ear, and you get the illusion of direction. And that's really cool that it works with any headsets, because technically you just need the logic behind it. Any headsets will because both headsets are providing sounds to both ears. So that is kind of neat.
Yeah, I mean there are details to it as well that I have to admit I don't think that they've gotten everything down pat, and there are some things where you're not really sure if you're hearing the difference, particularly because you're on a show floor where there are a bunch of other noises from all sorts of different places. But the guy that I spoke to in particular, Rod Haxton, was telling me that there are different ways that you can process so that when things are made of different materials, that you hear something echoing off of wood as opposed to echoing off of metal, and the way that the physics are processed, or this is coming from behind a wall, so this is the type of echo it should have, and this is how you should be hearing the sound coming from over here instead of through the wall. A bunch of things that are really cool and could have a lot of impact on the way that we just process sound in general in the future, which is also cool, by the way. This is an ancillary piece of tech news, but a lot of people, the rumor has been circulating that Apple is going to, in the next iPhone, kick the headphone jack out, and
yes,
instead,
I heard that.
Yeah, that they'll instead be using the Lightning connector for headphones, right? Depressing for all of us headphone owners who love our headphones, but the type of information that you could be pushing through the Lightning jack, you get a bunch more data that could potentially make your sound clearer, richer, and not really change the type of gear that you have to, lumber around to get that richer sound quality experience.
Well, what's coming down the pike. It's excellent. What you mentioned that is that they'll probably have an adapter. you'll have lightning, and then you can plug in your ordinary 3.5 inch, 3.5 inch, stereo plug for your standard headphone, because it's not the headphone really that does it; it's the electronics behind it. And so
Right.
I'm sure they're going to come up with an adapter for it.
You don't want to miss out on the money of a good adapter.
Exactly. But I guess the earbuds that Apple will be providing along with the new iPhone, I guess the iPhone 7 will have that taken into account.
Right.
Yeah, makes sense. So please continue.
I'm going through my stack of business cards, which was not as large as Ben's.
Is it? This is like this thick,
Yeah, it was. He visited a bunch of folks on the floor. He came back, almost injured himself. He was doing so much walking. What was it? A tendon issue?
Yeah. Turns out if you're not in good shape and then you try to walk around like you are in good shape for 12, 14 hours a day, I need to go to CES better prepared in a lot of ways. Let's just next year.
But he was prepared for the buffet, though. I understand that.
That's the one way I didn't have to be prepared, but did I enjoy it?
Oh, there were
Vegas buffet.
Vegas buffets are no joke.
No, they're not. They're wonderful. Oh, they're amazing. I'm so jealous. Yeah.
I tell you and I think he was sending you pictures, wasn't he?
Yes. On top of that, he was tormenting us with pictures. We actually loved it. We could see all the foods and that he was eating. It was just amazing.
Living vicariously through Ben's buffet experience.
Yes.
I wasn't looking to share. I was looking to rub it in because as much work as CES is, it's still in Vegas. So
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
You can see some of the sights. I know he did. The ceiling at the Bellagio and the fountains at the Bellagio are just amazing things that Ben did get to see.
Yeah.
But
it was good. It was good.
Okay.
But yeah. So let's see. I'm trying to think of there were other gaming specific debuts too. Razer is a big fan of making drops at CES, and they actually unveiled a kind of interesting piece of modular technology that they call the Razer Core. Now, most folks who do their gaming on a laptop know that the main bottleneck that makes portable gaming difficult is your video card. It's now that video cards are becoming super powerful, they'll integrate their own RAM. You'll get a good 8 gigs of RAM tied to your video card. A bunch of your processing for your overall game's quality, frames per second, are all going to be stored on that video card. But most laptops have a mobile video card, which is powerful, but isn't going to pack the same punch as a traditional desktop video card. The Razer Core, on the other hand, allows you to, through I believe a USB Type-C connection, which is a crazy good port. It's funny how many different places are using this. Mm-hmm. Allows you to basically do your video card processing through an external case. The same way that you carry around an external hard drive, you could be carrying around an external video card or two, and then be able to run an SLI configuration to actually basically make your portable laptop as video card powerful as a desktop. They didn't release a bunch of the specifics on it. It's still, I think, kind of being worked on, and it's currently only configurable with the new notebook that they released, which is the Razer Stealth Ultrabook.
Mm-hmm.
But it's
now. Is that what we're looking at now?
The one that they're showing off in the announcement video was an Ultrabook from Chrome. So.
You're looking at through a Thunderbolt 3 port, can hook it into the Razer Core, and it's a really good piece of technology for folks who are looking for that typical mobility. When I remember when I was working as a consultant, I like to have a gaming laptop because if I'm on the go, I'm working out of the hotel, I still want to be able to jump in and play some Heroes of the Storm or something with friends. You don't want to have a your desktop sitting at home that maybe you have to try and bust that out, or maybe you're carrying around a really heavy, one of these like MSI laptops that have a bunch of power, but they can be a real wear on the back. Something like the new Razer Ultrabook allows you to have that sleek, small experience that's easy to carry, and then when you need to come home and do your gaming, you have the ability to do that by plugging in your Razer Core. So I'm anticipating that they're not going to be the only ones to do it, but they did kind of steal the show when it came to the mobile gaming front. They did win, I believe, a CES Innovations Award for the Razer Stealth Ultrabook, and it's very pretty. Razer is known, the Razer Blade Stealth. It's pretty, it's powerful, but I also imagine that the third P that we're looking for is pricey. So. I believe we're looking at $1,000 for the Ultrabook, and that's separate from the core or any sort of graphics card that you wanted to put in it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is a. Now, how does this compare? I know, Ben, when you were out at the CES, you were using the Origin PC laptop from.
Well, we'll have to get into that after the break, but yes.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about that. In the meantime, Josh Boykin continues on with us. The first hour is already gone. But if you're not, we have another hour of the Computer America show coming at you here. We'll also have another News Tips Bullet review from Marty Winston because it is the beginning of the week. We are talking. It's our Gamer Tuesday, but we're talking about CES because Josh Boykin was out there and he's telling us what he saw out there. We will be right back in just a moment. Don't go anywhere. This is Computer America.
Broadcasting live, it's the only national radio talk show on computers to air every weeknight. Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. The first hour's behind us, but there's still more of tech news, tech talk, and your phone calls. We're being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. You got computer problems? Bring them on. You're listening to Computer America. Computers run the world, and we run computers. Call us or send us an email to live@computeramerica.com.
Hello and welcome into Hour 2 of the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. This is the Computer America Show, and I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
And Ben and I continue to talk with Josh Boykin, our gamer correspondent from PopZera, the website, popzera.com. Josh is their gamer editor at large, and he continues on with us. Of course, Josh also writes for GotGame.com. He's a senior editor for GotGame.com, and he is back fresh from CES, as is Ben, and we're kind of talking about all the gaming things, items that he spoke about. Now, again, if you have a question, some of you have called and then you've dropped off. We're not sure why, but give us a call, 347-884-8881, 347-884-8881. I'll get you on and get you through.
It's because we're providing such comprehensive coverage that their question was answered before they had a chance to ask it.
That could be it. It could be just that simple, all right?
We're too good.
Yeah, but we certainly love to hear from our callers and our listeners, and give us a call. Or you can watch us on the live video stream. Again, all that happening at the internet home of our radio broadcast, ComputerAmerica.com. So I just started to mention to Ben, Josh was talking about this really cool laptop, gaming laptop from, was it Razer?
Yep.
Razer. And I mentioned I was just kind of curious how it kind of compared with what you were using out at the CES. I believe you had a laptop from Origin PC. You actually had the president's laptop. He was kind enough, Jeff Washilewski actually lent it to you so you could use it because we had a little bit of a technical glitch and we lost something. So in order to do our show live from that, we needed a laptop, and he was very kind to let us use his personal laptop for the show. But I'm assuming that being the president of Origin PC, you're not going to have anything that's a slouch either. You're going to have something that's kind of nice. So, and
because it was a personal laptop and not one for not one for media review, not one for any kind of capacity for us to use and comment on, Not really going to comment on the hardware or the specifics because again he kind of helped us out of a jam and not here's a computer, review it for us. It was a very nice computer, very clean. I appreciate that. He's a very hygienic man. But as far as a full-on review, I think it would be unfair, because again, that computer was not intended for review purposes. So.
Got it. But we're going to have them on the show, and maybe they will let us have or use one that is for review purposes.
Oh yeah, for sure. But they did something that I guess Josh is more familiar with. I personally am not, but a lot of these other hardware manufacturing companies, instead of purchasing floor space at CES, they actually rent out suites in hotel rooms.
Oh yeah.
And display their wares in a much quieter setting, and they can kind of pick and choose who they invite up. They can decide that this year we want to focus on maybe distributors. This year we want to focus on so and so kind of clients, and they can kind of tailor their experience at CES to who they want to show to. And while I was there picking up a laptop, they were kind enough to give me a show around, just what they've been working on. And a lot of their gear you can find at the Origin PC website. I'm trying to find the one that they actually showed, though, because they had one piece of technology that they were very, very proud of, and it was their newest thing. I can't even find it on their website. So this is all, kind of firsthand. Don't take any of this for what it is, because they definitely didn't give me pricing, but they were showing off an all-in-one computer. And I know a lot of you gamers out there have said, all-in-one? What? Oh no! Why would they do that? Desktops and in some cases laptops are always the preferred method of for gaming computers. All-in-ones have always been seen as the entertainment system of computers, where you want something that's functional, you want it maybe a little bit portable, and it's kind of thrown under the bus as far as hardware goes. But the all-in-one that they showed off, at least at CES, it was an incredible piece of engineering. They had some demand for it, so they decided to see what they could come up with in their lab, and they came up with a 4K resolution. It was something crazy like 21 by 9 display, and it was like this 32-inch wide, probably about 15, 16 inches tall, all-in-one curved OLED screen.
Wow.
With all of the guts of a gaming computer, including an NVIDIA Titan Z graphics card, water cooling, all of the 32 gigs of RAM, power supply, all of that built into the back of the monitor. And they had the back off, but once you put the cover back on, it's a fully contained, all-in-one, crazy good resolution gaming PC that, again, all-in-one. It's something that really hasn't been done because, I guess the all-in-one market has always been, all right, this is for entertainment purposes, not for high-end gaming. And Origin PC said, we could probably make this work. And I got to say, from what I saw, they made it work.
Well, looks like it's called the Origin Omni.
Did you find a release for it?
Yeah, well, no, I found some other news coverage that was done for it. It says that it can feature up to a Titan X video card, which you, Ben, know is pretty powerful, I think, through personal experience. And then also a curved 34-inch 1440p display. And it's an upgradable piece of tech, which is pretty impressive, especially for an all-in-one, like you were saying.
Yeah, all-in-ones are not known for being upgradable. You basically, the whole idea is that it is what it is, and once you buy it, you live with it. So
right.
It's very unusual.
Right, and if you look at the video portion of our show here, you can see the back with the cover off, and you can see that everything kind of fits in very, very nicely into the back of the thing. I mean, one thing that kind of helps this be an all-in-one is the crazy size of the monitor. Being, I think Josh said, 34 inches wide. they're able to fit almost everything, in a nice flat layer on the back of the monitor.
And it's user accessible. I mean, the users
Yeah.
can get into that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow.
So it was it was very stunning to see. They said it's coming soon, Q1 2016. But as far as all-in-ones go, I mean, this was the best all-in-one I've ever seen, and it's it. I don't know how big the niche in the market is going to be for it, but I mean, it's obviously going to cover. Hey, I want a really good PC, and it's hey, I want one that's semi-portable.
Now, could you have seen yourself carrying this out to CES, Ben, if you
Not
had?
that kind of portable. Like we need a computer in the kitchen for a little while. You can just unplug the power cord and plug the power cord in somewhere else. Like that kind of
And
portable.
keep all food away from.
Oh, for sure.
Like I don't care if it's in the kitchen. You take the refrigerator with its LCD monitor and you carry it elsewhere.
It was very impressive, and of course they showed off a bunch of their other laptops and desktops, which are always very very neat. The only other piece of technology that they showed off was kind of along the same lines as my Razer mouse that you can see here. It's with the LED lights that have 18 million different colors, that kind of thing. They were able to put that kind of LED technology in their cases and kind of add extra software so that you can control the lights in your computer using all those 18 million different color combinations. I mean, I think the one that they were proudest of was they had a case for their computers, and they had a mode called Cylon mode, where it had like a little red dot that would flicker back and forth, kind of like a Cylon. If you are familiar with Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah.
And yeah, little innovations like that, and just as far as Origin goes, always quality built computers is essentially what they were showing off.
Did they give you a price for this Omni, Ben? What kind
They
of
did
price
not.
is it gonna be? Huh?
As Josh said earlier, a lot of what CES is people showing off their proof of concept. This is exactly what they showed. They showed it working. It was playing a game. It was in it was in a 1440p, I think you said.
Yeah. There's an article on Digital Trends. I've been trying to hunt around to supplement some stuff. Digital Trends is reporting that the initial build for one of these things is going to start around $2,000, $2,000, which is not a light startup price. But they do also note that you could be talking $800 for a 34-inch curved monitor in the first place. So when you're talking about $1,200 for the hardware that's involved, it may. Yeah, I mean it's not a cheap computer by any means, but it may be considered reasonable when you factor in the cost of a display, which
Well,
oftentimes people don't factor into the cost of putting together a rig.
the display being very very pricey in itself, the Titan X that is nestled in there, I'm sure they get bulk pricing or some kind of dealer discount, but to consumers, a Titan X alone will set you back $1,000. So, between the monitor and the graphics card alone, bam, you're already above $1,500 minimum.
Yeah, and I'm not sure that I don't know that the Titan X will be included in that base $2,000 model, but
that's
I mean
true.
the ability to even put a Titan X in there, which I mean is a fairly large graphics card, right? Like physically large.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about a lot of space. You're talking about some serious innovation in the all-in-one space.
And the Titan X doesn't need to be liquid cooled, my understanding. So.
Nope, it has these crazy fans on it. For anyone out there who is watching the video portion, I actually held it up kind of to my arm for a size comparison, and it's I'm a pretty big guy. This thing's bigger than my forearm. It's it's like a server blade. It's huge.
Wow.
Big stuff. But with big power comes big size. Sounds like sounds like there's a slogan in there somewhere. With great power comes responsibility. With great power comes great size.
Right.
Okay.
They should use that in a movie.
It's interesting talking about displays. I did some time with ViewSonic, which is a company that's typically known for sort of your I guess maybe conventional application displays, right? So you're talking maybe these are the monitors that we have at work. These are the projectors that we have at school, which they still do. But they are focusing on what they call their XG line of professional gaming monitors as well. They showed off not only those, but there were a couple in their professional series that are receiving updates too. But you can see companies starting to make that transition into catering to the gaming space. ViewSonic's been doing monitors and display technology for years with really high reliability and low failure rates. So they are debuting their XG line of professional monitors, which I think will sort of rival BenQ's new Zowie line. These are monitors that have high refresh rates, high variable refresh rates. So when you're playing your games like your Counter-Strike, your first-person shooters, your things where you need that as low lag as possible, really quick, really snappy responses without juddering, without frame tearing. These are the kinds of monitors you're going for. They also are debuting a few lines of. I'll have to look up the specifics for which model it is, but they're also doing a couple more consumer-focused. I would say maybe not pro gamer, but aspiring gamer level models that still have lower response times than average. You're talking maybe in the 2 to 4 millisecond range, and have decent refresh rates. Things that are for the gaming enthusiast, but perhaps not the gaming pro. But they are bringing in this sort of expertise with display technology, and then adding that to a need for gaming. One of the things that I think CES did show is just how much technological innovation gaming has brought to the space, where this thought about gaming and the requirements of technology for really quality high-level play gives some of these opportunities for expansion. Now,
I think that, and that's not new, Josh. I mean, games have always pushed the threshold of the hardware and software, and it's always been that. I mean, there are some things that just do. I mean, I know for the longest time, voice recognition, like Dragon, that type of thing, that would always push the hardware limitations. But games, and let's face it, your average spreadsheet word processor isn't going to push the hardware limitations. But games, video, audio, quality, memory, all that. Games is what would push the industry, and have for quite some time. So, and continue to do so.
Definitely. I think it is really cool to see all these different ways where it's like, oh, and then this for gamers. Now, I do think that one of the difficulties will be trying to see where all of these different brands are going to be competing in the same space for a lot of the same dollars. If you buy a $300 monitor, $300-400 monitor, and often if you're looking at buying two for a pro rig, you're not going to be wanting to replace those anytime soon. So there's going to be a limited pool of high-end dollars to fight for. One of the cool things about this year's CES, last year I had talked a lot about how CES was really cool for folks who had tons of money to throw down on technology, but for a lot of mid to low-range consumers, there wasn't necessarily as much to get excited about. There are companies out there, a lot of the brands that you're already familiar with, but in different capacities, that are kind of jumping into that mid to entry level consumer space. Companies like Polaroid and RCA are both releasing like cell phones that are at the $200 off contract unlocked level, that are fairly they're not super powerful in terms of specs, but they're the kinds of things that open up those doors to, hey, I could be doing some gaming. I could have a 5-6 inch phablet, as they call them, to watch some movies on my cell phone. I think RCA has also debuted a 4K Android TV this year, which is at a more reasonable price point than many other 4K TVs. So it's really interesting seeing the ways that companies are developed. I think some of our companies are developing. Some of them are really doubling down on that high-end space, whereas other ones are trying to go into sort of the broader spectrum market.
Did you say RCA?
I did. I did. Yeah, like your, hey, I got a turntable that's
Yeah,
RCA.
there's a name I haven't heard in a long time. There's
They had a big showing this year.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Oh, really? Okay. Because the last time I heard RCA, and they have the logo with the little dog tilting his head looking into a Victrola. That was
Well,
years, you know.
that was actually, it was one of the reasons I did a booth tour with RCA for that very reason. Yes, I go to cover a lot of gaming focused technology. You kind of, I have my beat, so to speak. But I also just have a lot of natural curiosity that makes me want to understand, like, wow, like, I told him I think the last time that I really saw RCA in my house was maybe a record player that my father
Right.
gave me.
Exactly.
Uh,
Long time ago.
there are some of these brands that are, historically well known that are trying to enter back into the space by offering things that I think are more at, like I said, this broad spectrum consumer level. Polaroid and RCA both are coming out with new cell phones. And actually, the Polaroid cell phones didn't look that bad. But of course, the last time I really knew Polaroid was with the picture that, the Instamatic or whatever, where it prints out and then you flap it around to cool it off.
The last one
Um,
I had was an SX70. It popped up like a little tripod. And yeah,
yep.
yeah,
Um, and
exactly.
for the
But they phased out. I remember as a kid, having them black and white, and then you had to put the fixer on it. I mean, this is probably before your time even.
mm,
But it was the only way to get instant pictures. Of course, digital cameras kind of wiped all that out.
exactly. And I think it's interesting to try and figure out the ways that, and I know this is a little askew from gaming, but I think anybody who's a regular to Gamer Tuesdays knows that there's at least good 10, 15 minutes of overall moral of the story, not necessarily connected to gaming from Josh. uh, but I think one of the things that will be interesting is that we do have these older kind of established brand names, particularly when you start talking about the older demographics, your 40, your 50-year-olds, people who still have some purchasing power but aren't as tech savvy. And companies like RCA and Polaroid are trying to enter into this space to reestablish some names. Now, yes, again, RCA, Polaroid, I think Craig, some of these,
Yeah, Craig was out there.
yeah.
Because I don't think he'd ever heard of Craig before. I told him, Ben, it's been around, before your time. Craig.
They've been laying low. I mean, it's like, Craig, feel the power. And I was like, oh, hey, look, I'll take a picture and send that to Craig.
Yeah. I mean, we had a Craig boombox when I was younger. I can still remember. I mean, it had 2 cassette decks, so you could. I mean, you would never copy a cassette, right? Because that's illegal. But if you needed to. So anyway, so the question's going to be, a lot of tech consumers are really particular about their branding. One of the big discussions that we had, actually, if you check out the Pop Zara podcast as it releases over the next few days with our CES coverage, which Ben was on as well as Herman Exum. We talked about Blue microphones. Now, Blue microphones is really well known for their quality and attention to detail in audio.
Yeah.
I don't know if all of us are using Blue mics right now.
Yeah, Ben has a Blue mic. I unfortunately don't have a Blue mic. I'm using an AudioVox cardioid mic, but still, Blue. I do use their Icicle product. I absolutely, because I'll take my Canon, that's the balance connector, and plug it into, and it allows me to plug it into a USB port.
Right.
And audio that comes from that is stunning. It's just the best presence I've ever heard. So Craig, Blue Microphone does some amazing stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Blue knows their way around a good microphone. And
before we get too far from it, I feel stupid if I say it, in 5 minutes. When we wrap up with Blue, so I just want to say it real quick. We were talking about companies making a comeback, or companies that you may have not heard for a while, and they're trying to make a resurgence. And we also talked about RCA and how you guys are talking about, I haven't heard about them in a while. Last year or 2 years ago, RCA actually purchased another company that we mentioned a little bit earlier as well. RCA purchased Victrola, and they are going to bring a full line of Victrola products back into, hopefully the consumer space, including the sonograms, including the jukeboxes, all that kind of stuff that Victrola was known for. they're hoping to relaunch and kind of reinvigorate the brand that they purchased. So in the coming years, expect to see some more Victrola stuff coming back into the market.
But my understanding is the Victrola stuff is going to actually look purposely vintage.
Yes, they've really made a huge focus on 40s, 50s, and 60s, as
Right.
well as some 70s products. So if you
Crazy.
have
Well-
seen a Victrola jukebox, then the jukeboxes that they're going to be selling, while Wi-Fi and Bluetooth compatible, while playing MP3s and FLAC and all that kind of stuff, and having an online shop, they're also going to play 33s, 45s, 78s, I think. I don't know.
Yes, 78. Yeah, they
78s.
play 78s too.
Yeah. They're going to play all those records. They're kind of a record player. They're also going to be able to hook up to any kind of MP3 player. Like they're going to be the classic mix of old that you enjoy from Victrola, and then they're going to be everything high tech and modern with a music player.
I don't know if you noticed, but when I go into a gaming bar, sports bar these days, and you look to see what they have.
Gaming bars are the future.
Yeah, but a sports bar, and you want to see what they have for a jukebox. Without exception, everyone that I've seen so far, none of them have the old standard Wurlitzer kind. They all have this big screen. It's a unit that has a screen, and then it's all touch sensitive, and it's streaming. And
it's hooked up to an online music store that you can order anything from.
Right, from your smartphone, you can download the app for free. I mean, they've really transitioned to these devices. So. Gone are the old-fashioned Wurlitzers, and remember on the bars you would have the little units you would have the little plaque cards you would move left and right, and you would punch in J6, and it would play that record. But there seems to be people are nostalgic about old things, nostalgia, and so they're bringing that back. And it's interesting. Some of the millennials maybe might not even recognize what they are.
I mean, there's actually, I just saw millennials defined today, and millennials are like anyone born like between like 1980 and 2010. So 1980, that's not too that's not too young, but no offense, Josh, but
I mean, it's not too old either.
right. By no means, but anyone who's seen a jukebox is immediately going to know the appeal. Like you don't have to be from the 50s to see why a jukebox is fashionable.
Yeah, and especially they had with the little bubbling liquids, and then they were
and that's what they're showing off. They had that.
They have that now, and so Victrola is coming back to those. Yet with all the modern technology built in, Bluetooth has been, Wi-Fi, all those different things will be built in them, but they'll still be able to play all the older formats. And I wonder, do you think that the record companies will start, producing? They haven't stopped really producing vinyl. You can still buy vinyl on CD. So
yeah, I mean, vinyl's kind of the enthusiast platform.
Exactly right. That gets that quote unquote warmer sound. When you have that and tubes. I don't know how true that is, but those are the claims. And maybe people.
Well, actually, that's a nice little segue back into Blue.
Mm-hmm.
Blue's booth, Josh, if you want to tell the listeners about them, actually utilized vinyl.
Yeah, so last year they did this too. Obviously Blue is traditionally pretty focused on audio recording, but they also the past couple of years have debuted a new line of headsets that have made them want to show off their ability to reproduce audio as well. Last year they showed off their MoFi headset, which is a pretty, really quality noise isolating audio. They call it an audiophile amped headset, so it's got an internal amp that you can enable to provide some additional sound quality. This year they showed off the Lola, which is their essentially the same model headphone but without the amp. Brings down the price point a little bit, but still has that same traditional fit and feel. And it does a great job of reproducing sound in general. Blue is actually, it's been my favorite booth to visit both last year and this year because they bring in a DJ who's got this entire range of vinyl records, and so you can sit down at the booth and throw on a pair, either the Lolas or this year either the Lolas or the MoFi headset, and go through. And I mean it to me is one of that vintage experience of digging through the crates and you find a piece of vinyl that you like and you hand it to the DJ and ask him to play it, and so you're like actually listening to the music that you choose, played by a real DJ, in a communal experience, because that music is also hooked up to a giant set of speakers that are general ambient. But then the other cool thing to me was that anybody else who's sitting down at that sort of audio bar, in their speakers, they're listening to your music too. So last year, I sit down and there was an older couple that was a couple seats down from me playing, I think it was like Rhinestone Cowboy, and so I'm throwing on the headphones and I'm listening to them play Rhinestone Cowboy, and it was cool. And then I hand the DJ what was it, Gorillaz, I think it was Tomorrow Comes Today, which is kind of heavier bass experience, and so now they're listening to Tomorrow Comes Today and their heads are kind of nodding with it. I think one of the things that we miss about the way that technology is a very personalized, individualized experience now, and we all have our own headphones and we all have our own devices and carry around a giant collection of music in our back pockets. But to be able to share a musical experience with other people in a way where music is the focus, it's not the background. When you have a party and you're just trying to play something that doesn't make everybody feel awkward, anybody who's tried to put together a party mix has felt that anxiety. But it's like a listening party where everybody gets together for the purpose of listening to music and enjoying the music. It was awesome. I really enjoyed it, and so it was nice to have that experience again this year.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we are at the bottom of the hour, so we got another break coming up.
It's going quick.
Yeah, this show is going way too quickly. But Josh Boykin here with us. We're talking about the Consumer Electronics Show and all the cool gaming and audio and video products that were displayed there. We have a news tips bullet review coming up, and then a brand new one, and then we'll continue on with them when we come back. This is Computer America. Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? Not so great, huh? It's a fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they're available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing calendar. Nothing could be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com. Looking for a best friend? Brother Wolf Animal Rescue has your best friend waiting just for you. The mission of Brother Wolf Animal Rescue is to help build a sustainable, no-kill community where no dogs or cats are ever killed for population control, where true euthanasia is reserved only for animals who are irremediably suffering, or for animals who are truly a threat to society and with no hope of rehabilitation. Brother Wolf staff and volunteers go door to door, neighborhood by neighborhood, to educate citizens about local resources available for at-risk pets and to help their families connect with those resources. Brother Wolf's community-based approach to no-kill helps keep family pets healthy, happy, and in their homes and out of the local shelter system in the first place. For more information or to make a tax-deductible donation to this wonderful 501c3 organization, visit their website at www.bwar.org. Help to realize Brother Wolf's vision when no animal is euthanized for lack of a home.
Who's a good boy?
Hey, just because he has a small knife and a small brain, it doesn't make him a micro neurosurgeon. Hi, Marty Winston with a news tips bulletin review for Computer America. This time, Yatra music muffs. They look like earmuffs, complete with fuzzy side cups and a fabric jacket around the top headband. But if you think that's all, you're just kidding. Yeah, warm. Connect them by cable to your smartphone for one of the nicest headphone listening experiences we've heard in a while. One more piece. The mid-cable dongle has a shuttle control and a mic, so now you can do phone calls without frosting your lobes. Bottom line, Yatra music muffs may look like warm, fuzzy ear muffs, but they sound like truly good quality earphones. So your ears can play it both warm and cool. Marty Winston, News Tips Bulletin for Computer America.
A plight of the plebeian, people that I didn't know exist because, I live in Florida and it is balmy year-round. So I guess listening to music while not freezing your head off is a very real problem. Thank you, Marty Winston, for that. For that News Tip Bulletin review. So, 33 minutes past the hour. Welcome back to the Computer America Show. We are doing our Gamer Tuesday, focusing on games and things like that. Though, of course, getting a little off topic with, this is part of this is CES coverage and what we liked about CES and what we saw out at CES and the new products. And Josh, I believe we were just finishing up with Blue and their headphones because people will of course know Blue for their podcasting microphones and things like that, but their headphones are relatively new and are just starting to shake up the market.
Yeah, admittedly though, Blue is kind of gaming news too. As you saw at the booth last year, Blue did kind of make an appeal towards gamers by creating a setup in their booth that also appealed to live streamers. So they had a setup with their Yeti mic and their noise isolation kit for it, to try and kind of simulate, the quality of audio and the experience that you can get by using Blue products.
Yeah.
Now, right now, there's a little bit of a brawl with Razer going on because Razer debuted their new Siren mic along with their Stargazer 3D camera. So they're also going to be, moving into that same streaming space. Like we were talking about earlier, I think I was going to chain into this before we went back to Victrola. Right, it's going to be this battle, particularly for gamers, between established brands for gaming and established brands for individual tech. So on one hand, Blue is totally known for their microphone quality, and already the the Yeti, the Snowball, their types of microphones are already used very commonly by a number of streamers and by the gaming community at large. But Razer is an established gaming brand. They do anything that they do has that gaming edge to it, whether they're doing ultrabooks or new wearables like their Razer Nobu. Or any of these different things. Like, they are a gamer's brand. They're meant to be sleek and attractive, and you're buying into a gaming ecosystem the same way that if you are buying an Apple device, you're buying into the Apple ecosystem.
Now, I don't know if it's these people, the models that are demonstrating this, have smaller heads, but those cups on the Blue headsets are really big, except for the gamer version. The gamer version is a smaller version, but when you want quality, you don't necessarily, style is nice, but I think quality of sound and audio takes precedent over, how good it looks. At least I would think so, as a broadcasting professional. I think.
I think it depends. I think increasingly as as a lot of streamers and a lot of competitive players are, their faces, their visuals are part of their brand as well. It's not really that bad a situation to have something that's easily identifiable. I think if you take a look at the look of the Lola or the MoFi headset, they kind of they highlight their excessiveness, right? Blue's style has always been this sort of like futuristic retro, and so that's totally the look of the Blue headphones. And on one hand, though they look a little awkward if you don't have them on your own head, when you do put them on, they've got a sort of feel and a comfort to them by the way that they're pulled in that does feel different than any other pair of headphones. So
they have like a little arm on a hinged arm, so they look very high. They do look high tech. I'm looking at them right now on the website as Ben is displaying them, and they do have like a little curved piece that kind of pushes them into your head.
Yeah, the PR person I was talking to about these headsets were that when you take them on and off, you'll get this kind of with every other headphone on the market, you get this band and you get these adjustable headphones, and they kind of move and they do that kind of thing left and right. But with this design that Blue is using, they mentioned it was part of a hydraulic system for NASCAR or something like that, or Formula One most likely. and they're designed to keep the ear cups parallel to each other at all times. So when you're taking them on, taking them off, putting them on, they kind of stay in one position. So it's a little different and it makes them look different, but it's a bit functional.
For sure. And pardon me. Even just like the way that you take off a normal pair of headphones, you're tempted to like just kind of pull, elevate one side and kind of lift it, peel it off. Whereas those, I think, because of the hydraulics that Ben was talking about, you usually both hand and kind of pull them parallel.
Yeah.
And it is those little pieces in technological innovation that help a brand create identity. I mean, everybody and their mother is making a gaming headset right now. Audio-Technica did a gaming headset. Sennheiser did a gaming headset. Actually, these are the Sennheiser Game 1s, which are a decent chat. They're a decent chat headset, but I've heard better sound quality in all fairness. Everybody is kind of jumping on board and trying to figure out what is it that gamers want. How can we make this balance between audiophiles, which typically want higher mids, higher trebles, a sort of cleaner, sometimes cooler sound, and then gaming headsets, which are typically, you want noise isolation so that you can hear individual footsteps. Yeah. You want a closed back experience. You want, heavy bass to feel the explosions. There are different communities that want that have different priorities in their sound profiles.
Right, and also it comes down to the two basics, which is isolation and non-isolation. If you want the isolation, you have over-the-ear cups, prevents from internal sound from distracting. But some people say, well, if someone knocks on the door and I'm doing this, I can't hear them. That makes people uncomfortable, so they go for non-isolation headsets. Some of them are like earbuds, which is, or the cups will allow external sound to come in, and so I guess it's a balance. Maybe they can design something with little levers, so it closes and opens the airspace. So you can make them non-isolation or isolation just by flipping a lever.
There were also a number of different types of headphones that were debuted at CES that were meant to handle just that issue, right? Folks who were just like, well, what if I'm wearing my headphones and I'm walking down the street and I'm about to get hit by a bus? How do I know?
Yeah, you'll know it, but that'll be true.
Yeah, I was going to say, you might not know it when you're about to get hit by the bus, but you'll know when you get hit by the bus. There were a number of headphone solutions that were meant to provide a more open ear experience. Aftershocks is a company that does bone conduction headsets, and they provided us for review their games headset, which is a rebranded version of their Blues 2S. And the idea being that instead of having the noise processed directly through the eardrum into the cochlea, that you elevate them slightly and that vibrations process that noise through the cheekbone directly to the cochlea. We're still kind of doing some work with those and trying to see how that really works, as far as keeping sound out or giving you an ability to hear the things around you while
like
also
a phone ringing or something.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when it gets to the point
baby
where you
crying.
hear a phone ringing or a baby crying, then maybe you need to be doing this only when there are other people in the room with you, not wearing them so they can. No, you got to go or do this. But
or maybe that's your plan. I mean, babies crying are very, very annoying. It's
and how dare he or she interfere with our games?
Interfere with the gaming.
Okay, so headsets. We only got about 15 minutes left here, Josh. What else can you think of that kind of stood out in the gaming arena? We mentioned monitors. Anything new in monitors, or is it more?
Well, I mean, monitors I think are particularly a refinement of existing tech. I didn't notice a lot of curved monitors in the gaming space. There were a lot of showing off for curved monitors last year. I don't know if curved monitors are kind of going to go the route of 3D, where they were really exciting for a while, but maybe the tech's not there yet. Maybe it's too expensive. But most of the tech that we saw was for flat monitors, shown with 2 or 3 monitors next to each other. There were.
That's the gamer preference. I know Ben also has like 3 monitors rather than one curved one.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to have that division so that you can have like one screen devoted to watching a Twitch stream and another screen devoted to your gaming.
Yeah, exactly.
And then another screen devoted to research and looking up stats and things like that. And then another screen to have Netflix running. And then another screen to look, as I always said this, as many screens as you can give me, I'll find a reason to use another screen. Like, there's always something.
Always room for another screen.
As long as your hardware can handle it. Yeah, well, with a Titan X, I would think you'd be able to handle most of it.
You know, and I think that is that's been a nice little point for me, is that I got the Titan X and I was like, okay, yeah, this thing runs games really, really well. I'm so happy. But I never really stopped to think about, can a normal graphics card really power 3 different monitors doing 3 different things? Like, I never had to stop and think about that. Like, the Titan X just does it. So probably gonna need a second one though if I want 6 monitors.
I hope so.
So you started to say, Josh, what else?
So, the couple other pieces of gaming tech that stuck out to me again are kind of the improvement of situations that we've already dealt with, right? SteelSeries, a company known for its hardware and peripherals, debuted their Rival 700 mouse, which is it's one of the first. I think it might be the first mouse to incorporate haptic feedback, which basically means your mouse has a rumble function, right? Which a lot of FPS players instinctively will say, I don't know how I feel about that. I don't want a rumble in my mouse to decrease my accuracy. They actually went through and designed the rumble to basically move vertically instead of horizontally. So it still allows you to get a vibration without having an impact on the way that the mouse moves. It's also a pretty...
Yeah, that's interesting because yeah, right. Horizontal vibration would vibrate the mouse left and right, and that would affect the mouse cursor. Whereas if it's going up and down, it doesn't affect the left and right axis.
Exactly.
That's one situation where realism. I mean, if you got shot in real life, you can bet that your cursor would go all over the place. But in terms of gaming, it's good to see that they put the thought in that this new piece of technology would not be a hindrance to kind of the pro scene.
Right, but you also keep in mind that feedback is really meant for more than just like, oh, I got shot, now I felt it. There were a number of ways that they incorporated the functionality. Right now, the dev kit is only open directly to developers, so I think the only 2 games that take advantage of the custom color setup and the haptic feedback that it allows are Dota 2 and Counter-Strike Go, CSGO. They're both Valve games. But basically, it would be like, okay, well, my health is low. I can feel a heartbeat pulsing through the mouse. And then they also combine that with the LED or the lighting technology that they had in the keyboard and the mouse. So, like, if I got shot and my health was kind of low, then my keyboard would be yellow, and if my health was really low, then my keyboard and my mouse would be red. They also did have a small OLED sensor built into the mouse, kind of right above where the thumb rest is. Now, the PR rep told me that maybe my thumb or my hand may be a little large because my thumb basically directly covered the OLED screen, whereas apparently a number of people's hands just rest below it. But it's on the left side of the mouse. It's a right-handed mouse, so there really isn't any useful in-game information you're going to get from this thing. This is a place where they said that you could place a logo for your favorite brand or maybe for your website. When I saw it, they had a rotating GIF/GIF of Nicolas Cage's head. So it wasn't, you can look at it and see maybe a count of the number of headshots you've gotten in game or what round you're on right now. It's not a useful piece of information. It's more of a nice to have. But that haptic feedback was really cool.
So the screen was on the mouse itself, a little tiny.
Yeah, like for those who are seeing our audio feed, if this were the mouse, it would be right here on that left curve where you keep your thumb. Wow. Right near the top of the mouse. Huh. So again, if you're in game, you don't see that display at all. That's not a, man, this is improving my gaming experience mouse. That is a, hey, this is also kind of neat. And maybe one day we'll find a way to make it more useful, but that's the way it is today. Another cool piece of tech, actually, Triton released their Katana HD 7.1 headset. which is the first headset to use HDMI for its input as opposed to optical or the normal, headphone jack. So what that allows you to do is push a lot more audio data through that cable, and so it creates a richer sound. It's also DTS:X compatible, which kind of like that 3D audio we spoke of earlier in the show. It gives you a surround sound experience that allows you not only to see where it is around you, but if it's above you or below you. Combined with the new Ultra HD format that I think was announced maybe just a couple of weeks ago for Blu-ray, which is going to incorporate a lot of Dolby Atmos and DTS:X technology. Increasingly, you're going to see more devices and more pieces of media that are going to have that very immersive surround sound experience. A headset like this, since it goes through HDMI, not only works for PS4, Xbox One, but it'll also work for your Blu-ray player. It may work for your PC, anything that routes into HDMI. So that was a really cool piece of technology, and it also won a lot of awards. And I thought the sound quality was pretty noticeable, though Ben and I did have that conversation that there was a headset that they had me try on after that, which was their next gaming headset, and it was just sort of a basic stereo in-ear headset, and the difference in sound quality was like immediately noticeable. I don't know how much that was by design, but I do think that doing some time individually with that will show the increase in sound quality.
Definitely see that there's some moving to a standard. I mean, 3.5 millimeter jack is has always been a standard. All these different audio cables have always been a standard, but I think everyone would kind of benefit from just one cable. I mean, I'm not talking about a cable for audio, a cable for
one
video,
cable to rule them all.
Yeah, just one cable, and HDMI is making a good push and making a good effort. There won't always be one solution for everything, but I think if everyone just kind of said, okay, you're going to need 10 HDMI cables, but they're going to be interchangeable and everything is going to work off HDMI. Yay! That's going to be good.
Well, we're seeing more and more of that. I mean, again, from the olden days, I remember we had SCSI cables, and we had, you had all these different
RCA.
Yes, RCA, and you had serial and parallel, all those kind
RGB, all that kind of stuff.
That's all kind of fading out, and now we're seeing it happen in a generational manner. Apple is putting a lot on their Thunderbolt, the Lightning connectors, and Thunderbolt now with Thunderbolt 3 here, which is what 40 gigs up and 40 gigs down. It's just an incredible amount of bandwidth. Yeah. So
it really seems that between HDMI, USB, and Thunderbolt, they're pretty standout. And don't get me wrong, there's still the 3.5 that's out there, and a couple others for very niche products. But we're moving closer to standardization.
Yeah, we're seeing fewer and fewer, and a more select. I think in the next 5 years or so, we'll probably see a lot of that stuff being phased.
One would hope.
Yeah. I mean, we're seeing a lot being phased out now. What was the last thing that they just phased out?
Well, actually, now that you mention it, Craig, though, it might not even be everyone getting together and saying, okay, we're going to use these standards. A lot of cables are just gone. Like a lot of cables you don't need anymore thanks to Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and all these other just no cable solutions.
Yeah, I mean,
just gone.
Yeah, we hooked up our new TV that we got, and there was an Ethernet port. It's all HDMI, but there was an Ethernet port, and I was gonna hook it up, and it just picked up the Wi-Fi and done, And I said, well, it'll be slow, and I launched a Netflix. It's a smart TV, and it was like it started 1%, and then 30, 50, 90, boom, and it was done. It was just, and I'm watching ultra high definition from Netflix. So you're right. I think we're seeing less and less, and that's what the current Wi-Fi is. Wi-Fi is continuing to improve as well, and I think eventually we're going to see less and less of that.
Oh, I mean, even I did some time. I believe it was TP-Link that told me about. There's another new Wi-Fi standard, right? So used to be like. Yeah. I think it's like, is it D? AC was the last one. After AC. Yeah, is it AD?
It's H. Yeah. I think it's called Howie, is what it is, as I recall. And that's the next generation of Wi-Fi. Um,
Yeah.
uh, you know, but you're right. I think
I take it back. It's 802.11 AH. You're right.
yeah, AH, and it's Howie. They call it for sure. But
Halo or
Halo or something else.
Halo. There we go.
And again, I think you're right. I think we're going to see like 2 or 3 standards make it for in this decade. We're going to see HDMI. Already there's a different version of HDMI too, and
Yeah.
the smart TV that I had has it for the higher speed HDMI cable. It has an input for it. So you have 2 different versions of HDMI, and you have the Thunderbolt, Lightning, and the USB 3.0 or the
Yeah.
USB-C connectors.
I
And
mean,
that's yeah.
yeah, no, I mean, it seems like it's all about how much information can we encapsulate and push into one cable. ViewSonic actually showed off a monitor that functioned essentially as a KVM switch. So you could take your laptop, plug your laptop into this monitor.
Mhm.
It would display your monitor on, display that laptop on the monitor.
Mhm.
You could plug another computer into it, so you can have your desktop and your laptop both displayed on the same monitor, split screen. Switch between the two interchangeably with the push of a monitor button, and still be charging your laptop and transferring data from your laptop to your other computer using the monitor as a hub, all
Right.
with a single cable. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
And Apple has something very similar to that right now, where they're using their Thunderbolt technology, where you can actually, it's a standalone screen. It looks like an iMac, but it's just the screen itself, and it uses the Thunderbolt technology, and you can hard drives, and you can kind of pass through, and that becomes sort of like the hub. And they have similar things. Although, what was it was brought up the other day that Apple snuck down. Remember they had the 5K iMac? They went back to the 4K because I think, it's just
1K wasn't good enough.
the 1K wasn't going to make that much of a difference. So, and I guess they want to try to keep it standard. 4K and then 8K is the next one.
Well, they were going to do, 4K, then 5K, then 5KS, and then a 5K.
Yeah, exactly.
They wanted 5K, but weren't quite sure.
Yeah, exactly. So, as we wrap this up, Josh, any particular themes or things that you want to comment about other than the wonderful buffets out at CES, as far as technology is concerned, that you might want to talk about? I know you got a lot of stuff coming up at PopZera and Got Game. So
Yeah, absolutely. Folks can keep an eye there for new coverage. And one thing that I will bring up, it is not it's not an easy show. It's not a short show, and yet, all the exhibitors that I ran into, obviously, they were really friendly, really excited, enthusiastic about their products. Over the course of the next year, this is going to be the launching point for some folks to really make a name for themselves and their brands. And other people need to go back to the drawing board a little bit. That's kind of the nature of the beast. But CES as a whole was a really awesome experience, and my thanks and appreciation go out to tons of folks that we interacted with that go beyond the names of the companies that we mentioned over the course of today's show. But I'm really excited to see what happens in the coming year.
Absolutely. And Ben, I know, as I said, we're going to have plenty of future coverage.
Tons. It was a lot of fun seeing them out there at CES. They could only give me 5-10 minutes and a business card of their time to really explore what what is they do, but that's not the Computer America way. The Computer America way is, of course, get them on and beat that dead horse and have them on for a full-length hour interview and really get into just what it is they do or offer. And yeah, we're going to be doing that with a lot of companies.
Yeah, we plan to do that. Just that. So, Josh, what's I guess next for you? I mean, you're going to be doing stories on this. What's coming up in the next couple of weeks for you?
So we'll be looking at, obviously, more post CES wrap up coverage. Our focus at PopZara is to show the information the right way and the accurate way and the comprehensive way. So we'll be seeing more coverage that direction. Obviously, there are some gaming shows coming up around the bend, and a couple smaller a couple smaller gigs I'm interested in. C2E2, the Chicago Comics and Entertainment Expo out in Chicago, will be taking place in April, so we're looking forward to that. There also are some games that are coming down the pipe that are kind of exciting. Firewatch is a narrative story that'll be dropping here at the Q1 of this year that everybody's really excited about, and just hoping to see more gaming experiences that are, not only exciting and action-packed or whatever, but also tell a really good story. So we'll see how some of that turns out, and hopefully we'll also get our hands on some of the hardware that we discussed over the course of CES, so we can do some more comprehensive reviews and point people in the right direction of that technology. Amio Audio is one of the ones that I'm particularly excited about for you audiophiles out there. This is a piece of technology that it's a little box that hijacks the audio that's coming out of any sort of traditional headphone jack or Bluetooth source and calibrates it specifically for each ear so that you get a really even noise profile. It was one of my favorite pieces of tech out there, and hopefully be able to get your hands on that soon.
All right. Well, listen, Josh, again, I want to thank you for joining us here on our Gamer Tuesday and giving our listeners some of the highlights out of the Consumer Electronics Show. And I have a feeling that when you're back here next
90 seconds.
you'll be talking about some of the reviews that you've actually performed, and when
For sure.
some of that hardware. But thank you so much for being with us. Of course, stay with us to the end. Ben,
thanks again for having me.
Oh, our pleasure, absolutely, and we look forward to having you again. Ben, I know tomorrow we're going to have Sandy Berger going to be joining, our consumer electronics expert. Sandy actually did part of a show with us out there, and we'll try to bring that to you in a timely manner.
60 seconds.
And she'll be joining us talking about some of her experience. I understand she caught a cold, but she said,
I don't doubt it. When you put that many people together and you're all shaking hands,
yeah,
you're going to share more than just ideas.
Yeah, maybe wear some rubber gloves next time. I don't know.
No kidding.
Or a mask.
Nah, CS is clean. Don't worry about it.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And again, thanks to all of you for being with us here on our Gamer Tuesday show with Josh Boykin. And Ben and I will see you same time, same place tomorrow afternoon. So until tomorrow afternoon, this is Craig Crossman hoping that your hard disk never becomes floppy. Ever, ever, ever. We'll see you tomorrow afternoon.
Have a good one, everyone.
Bye-bye.
10 seconds. Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
Okay, and again, thanks to all of you watching our live video stream. Thanks for that. And again, Josh, we'll see you next month, okay?
Looking forward to it.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.